Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Samantha and today I'd like to share with you a new release from Makeup Revolution, and it is the Makeup Revolution Pro HD Amplified 35 palette, and this one is called Innovation. So I shared with you the Socialite palette yesterday, which is a mixture of matte and shimmer shades. This palette is full of mattes. There's no shimmers in it whatsoever. It's £15 and retails at tanbeauty.com, and yeah, really love the Socialite palette. In fact, I just want to share with you my thoughts about that palette. Obviously I did a look yesterday at I did a look for you yesterday, and that was about midday, and I didn't take my makeup off until about 11 o'clock last night, and the matte shades in particular looked exactly the same as when I first applied them. I was really impressed. So that was definitely an amplified palette, an amplified look. It looked so good. The shimmer shade, I always find that when the shimmers, I apply the shimmers and they do look really good, but I have a little bit of hooded eye there, and I always find that after a little while the shimmer, wears off, just because obviously the skin is rubbing. But where it didn't, so the inner corner and the inner part of the lid, it worked really well, and the shimmer was still in place from when I applied it. So that was really good. And I've also talked, I think they must have reformulated or repressed or done something slightly different, because the shimmers do feel a lot firmer in the pans, and when you pop your finger in, because I always use a finger to apply it to the lid, they do feel like, for example, sometimes when you put your finger and swirl it around into a pan of, for example, another palette, I find that you can get clumps, but not with the new palettes from Makeup Revolution, and Socialite is included in that. There's no big clumps of fallout. It feels very firm. There's no fallout at all. There was no fallout on my face, so I was really impressed with that palette. So I'm hoping for big things from, or the same things, especially from the gorgeous mattes and the Innovation palette. So the packaging on this one is rose gold metallic, and on the back you have the shade names. Now there are some differences with these palettes, the amplified palettes. The original amplified palettes, the packaging was black on the back and on the lid, and you had a mirror, and you had the plastic sheet inside showing with you the shade names. So I've already showed you that the shade names are now on the back. So the new palettes are missing the sheet on the inside. They also don't have a mirror on the lid either, and I'll link down below yesterday's video, because in that one I go through much more in depth about the differences, and I do actually get a original amplified palette and really go through those differences. So if you're interested in that, do have a look. But this is what the packaging looks like. So although on the back you've got that black shiny packaging from the original amplified palettes, we now have a window here. So the mirror has gone, but although the mirror has gone, and I did actually find those mirrors quite handy because they're so big, but you can now see what you're getting. So for example, if you store yours, and I store my palettes in my Alex drawers on top of one another, so if you're searching for a certain palette, you're going to be able to see what you're getting a lot easier than with the original amplifiers, because they all look relatively the same. So now on to the swatches. So I've already done them for you, so it's basically just sharing with you. Now I'm not going through the shade names, just because I am finding that I can't read them very well, because the font is quite tall and slim, and on the darker ones especially it is dark, so difficult because the shade, the font colour is very similar to the shade colour, so it's difficult. So what I'm going to do is just give you close-ups of the swatches. So this is the first row of swatches. So you've got some, this is a white shade, you've got a cream shade, a light pink, and then moving on to some more deeper shades. Then this is the second row, so you've got some real vibrant shades in this row and some neutrals. This is the third row, so you've got some neutrals, a lovely peach shade, you've got some real vibrant magenta shades there, and that red like a coral colour. This one is the fourth row. You've got neutrals, you've got really warm red browns there, absolutely stunning. And then this is your last row, moving down to the very last shade, which is a black shade. I will list all of the names down below, but like I say, they are so difficult to look at and read that I'm just going to mention them down below. So this is what the palette looks like close up. Beautiful. I really love all of the shades in here. You've got a mixture of cool tones, warm tones, you've got some pink shades, red shades, you've got that black, you've also got a white shade, you've got everything that you need in this palette, but like I say, it is all matte. So what I'm going to do is start off with my Primark brush. Obviously this is from Primark for £1. I love that brush. It's what I always start off every look with, and I'm going to start off with this shade, and it's either Notion or Motion, and it is a gorgeous rich, it looks actually quite mauvey in the pan, but now I'm putting it on my eye, it looks very, very vibrant. So I'm just going to take that up. But that is a very vibrant shade, actually, very vibrant, very rich. I'm finding that there is a little bit of kick up in the pan itself. I don't remember seeing any kick up in the mattes yesterday, otherwise I would have mentioned it, but I just can't remember seeing that at all. But there is definitely kick up in this, a little bit more certainly than the Life on the Dance Floor palettes. With the Life on the Dance Floor palettes there was a little bit of kick up, but I managed to then pick up that fallout or kick up on the brush for the next eye, and that worked well. But with this one there seems to be a little bit more than that. I mean, it's blending very, very nicely, it's going on very, very nicely. It is certainly an amplified colour because it is very intense. But yeah, it's so far so good. And I've now picked up all of the fallout. I've now picked up all of the fallout and used it on my eye. So really, really actually loving this shade. I'm now going for another mauvey colour, so let me just show you on the back here. So this is the first shade that I used, so this one here. I'm now moving over to this side, and I think it's called Transfigure, and it's that one there. So I'm going to just get a little bit of that on my brush, and I'm going to pop that in the crease and also put that on the outer third as well. But again, it's blending really, really well. Loving it, actually. Loving the combination of the two colours together. I'm going to put that on this side. Now there is a tiny... No, is that a bit of fallout? No, it's a bit of fluff. I thought I had some fallout there, and I was thinking, wow, I've got some fallout, but which is very unusual, but I haven't. It's a bit of fluff from somewhere. But I'm really, really loving the combination of these shades. Loving that, actually. They're working really well, and as with the shades that I used yesterday, they blend effortlessly. Really, really gorgeous. Loving that. Now, just taking that one onto the lid. Now, strangely enough, this second shade hasn't got as much fallout or kick up as the first shade. It's definitely you know, not as dusty, so perhaps it was just, I don't know, perhaps it was just the top layer or something like that, but no, this one is definitely not. So that is very, very intense. I've also taken the first shade down a little bit more as well, just to give me a little bit more smokiness, just because it's a little bit more intense. But yeah, really like that. Now I'm just going to deepen up the eye a little bit more, the eyelid, because now what I want to do is put a lighter shade on the actual lid. Now I've sport for choice here, but I think I want quite a, you know, a light look. As with when I do a shimmer shade, I want it quite light in there. So I'm going in with the shade, which is it, Addition. So it's this one here. So I'm going in with that. And I don't need to worry about putting it on my finger, it's a matte shade, so I'm just going to pop that in there. I want it quite similar to my lid shade to give me some you know, light and shade. Now with that shade, again, it's kicked up quite a bit, so perhaps it's just the lighter shades, but it's definitely kicked up a little bit of product. So there we have the eye look. Like I say, it's blended very, very well. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more mascara, because with these matte shades, they do tend to make your eyelashes look a little bit powdery, but it hasn't. I just wanted to add a little bit more definition on my lashes. But yeah, really loving that look. I'd really love your thoughts actually with this palette, because it's not very often that I use a whole matte, well, I have a whole matte look. So I'll be very interested to know what you think about a whole matte palette. Are you going to get this one? So obviously I'd love a thumbs up. I would also love it if you subscribe to my channel, and I would also love to hear your feedback as always. And yeah, I think, because I'll just show these palettes together as well, which I haven't done. Let me just get them in the right position. So there are both of the palettes. I hope you can see that. There's a little bit of difficulty because they are so shiny. So yeah, I hope you found that helpful. Like I say, do leave your feedback down below. I love to hear what you're thinking, especially about these palettes, about my eye look. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, thank you. Bye.